Oh man, so what has my captain been up to? I'm sorry, what has my coach, what has my coach been up to? Oh yeah, he said the dogs were trained to attack the snakes. Is that right? Okay. And what did he say? He said one of his boys almost stepped on the snake. Okay. Did which boy? Was it Titus? Was it Junior? Was it Noah? Was it baby Benjamin? which which one of his sons almost stepped on the snake? Okay. Or did he just pull the snake out of the grass, out of the woods, and then he set it out for the dogs to taunt? Whatever happened to live and let live? Okay. But I guess he wanted to display for you heavy Tim followers the fact that his dogs were in fact trained up, trained up to defend or even to attack snakes, even if the snakes weren't bothering anybody. They've been trained up to do that. And of course, our only question was, were they trained to do that, or is that part of their breeding? Is that part of the breed and what they the way that they've been brought up? Is it inherent in that particular breed of dog? We know that the dogs do a certain amount of herding, okay? And so is it only natural for them to ward off snakes or to nip at snakes or to bite snakes if need be? Okay, all right? And we know that my coach is always trying to take credit for any and everything that he possibly can. And so I guess he was just taking credit for the fact that he trained them, okay? What about God trained them, okay? Are we sure that God did not train those dogs up? Did he not train them to have those instincts when it came to intruders? Okay. But he said he trained them up. Is that right? Okay. Well, what else has he been up to? Okay. So he was out at the ranch. Is that right? Did he ever get around to fixing Grandma Lily's, truly fixing Grandma Lily's riding mower? Because last time we saw him, the mower was bucking. It was bucking and chucking. Okay. It was surging and gurgling. Okay. And I know that he has certain issues. But he did get it rectified. Is that right? Did he bring in Travion behind the scenes? No, we don't know. Okay. Did he have a licensed mechanic make a trip out to the ranch to assess the actual problems with that mower? We don't know that either. So what was he doing? Oh, yeah. At least on camera, he made it appear as though he was able to troubleshoot the mower himself. Is that right? Even as an amateur, he was able to troubleshoot the mower. Okay. All right. And what happened? The fuel line was a little bit too short, or the fuel line was pinched. Really? Okay. All right. Was he able to rectify it? He was. Okay. All right. And so he got Grandma's ride mower up and running. It is up and running. Is that right? Okay. All right. Well, that's good news. That is absolutely good news. Especially considering that it's a brand new mower. It's a brand new mower. Okay, if it's a year or so old, it's a brand new mower. Like I said before, they're good for a decade, at least a dozen years. Generally speaking, they're good for 20 years. And so what she has is a brand new mower. Okay, the only concern that I have for that mower is the fact that she actually let my coach and y'all's pastor get his hands on it. Okay, I'm not sure if that was in the contract that she had to allow him to have first crack at her mower. I'm not sure if that was in her lease contract, having that lifetime lease on that property. But I guess he went at it with that mower. I guess he got it up and running. And I guess he said, in the meantime, I'm going to give it a name. He's like, okay, well, if I can call my mower Putt Putt, and if I can call my brand new zero turn Outlaw as a reflection of myself, then certainly I'm going to give your more. Even though Grandma Lily, you didn't see fit to give it a name. You thought that it was kind of goofy to be naming all of these pieces of equipment and all these structures. Even though you said, well, no, it's kind of goofy, son. I'll leave that to you as far as naming things. I guess you guys slid in and said, well, we're going to name her Craftsman more Craftsman. I'm like, okay, coach. Talk about forcing the issue, coach, with the names. Okay, you could have let it slide on this one. But I guess he got it up and running, and we were all excited, and we're clapping, and like, okay, it's back. It's back. It's been fixed. And of course, my coach is like, no, it hasn't been fixed. It's been resurrected. I'm like, all right, coach. All right, coach. Fortunately, you were able to repair it with or without the assistance of a true mechanic. But it did get repaired, and we were able to see Grandma Lily. Said, Grandma Lily, go ahead and drive it up the hill. And the mower made it up the hill, and we're like, all right, we're making progress. And of course, Grandma Lily, considering that part of her duty around that ranch is to give you constant affirmation, coach. Part of her duty around there is to give you constant validation, constant stroking of your ego, lest you be insecure in your manhood, lest you be insecure. Grandma Lily knows that she needs to stroke it from time to time. She needs to validate you from time to time. And so she's like, well, even though this brand new mower rides very well, it performs the duty very well, but that mower that you sent over here, not the mower that you gave to me, not the mower that I own, but the mower that you assigned to this Resurrection Ranch property. He's like, so Grandma Liz is like, well, even though my mower runs great now, putt still runs better. I'm like, all right, Grandma Lily. Oh, it's forced, Grandma Lily. Let it go, Grandma Lily. Yours is brand new. Yours is a Craftsman. Okay, generally speaking, they're built like tanks. His is a Murray. And so Grandma Lily. All right. We know it's good for Tim to hear. Somehow he blessed you. Tim doubles down on the fact that now you have two mowers, two riding mowers. And if that's not goofy, it's all get up, then I don't know what is. No one needs to have two riding mowers. But we get to see her ride around. We get to see her cut the grass. And of course, we get to see her kick up the dirt and kick up the dust. Okay. We can't forget that at least 60% of her quote unquote lawn, at least 60% of her grassy area, we'll call it a grassy area, is comprised of dirt and clay. And so most of what we got to witness was Grandma Lily cutting the dirt. All right. Cutting up the dirt, kicking up the dust. And like, okay, all right. So at least we know that the motor runs fine. But good gracious, oh my goodness, coach. But all right, has he been up to anything? Anything else? Nothing else? Okay, all right. Well, before I get to my reaction to the recent P2P nodcast, and I said nodcast as in sleepy time, as in night, okay? Before I give my reaction to the recent P2P nodcast where Tim talks about the world being afraid of your confidence. Okay, all right. Not that the world is afraid of your confidence. They may be afraid of certain people being confidence men, as in if you shorten that, you get con men. Yeah. So the world probably is more afraid of confidence men than they are of people having personal or individual confidence, coach. But we get the point. Now, before I get to my reaction, I have to acknowledge you guys that have been active. I absolutely have to recognize you guys that have been active in the comments. Keep that commentary going. Keep that dialogue flowing both ways. Of course, I have to recognize you ready, Tim writers. I see you guys in the comments. I hear you guys. Especially you new ones. Okay. You new heavy Tim followers in the comments, the brand new to the game. You guys that have not gone back and went through the archives of the IAG videos, or gone through the brief archives of the Resurrection Ranch, or the very brief P2P nodcast archives. I hear what you guys are saying, and I'm going to entertain it. And I'm like, okay, bring it on. What do you have to say? And they're like, well, Captain, get a job, Captain. I'm like, okay, all right. Just because I watch videos in my spare time, that's my spare time. Okay, I can have a job and still watch videos. All right. Okay. I can have a job and still critique videos. I can still scrutinize videos. And certainly I can still react to videos in my spare time. And so how in the world do you think, just because I spend a couple of hours here or there reacting to the videos that are posted by my coach, how in the world would you think that I don't have a job and that I need to get a job? All right. How about me getting 2 jobs? All right. And then now if I had 2 jobs, then maybe I would have less time to watch these videos. Maybe. But bear in mind that YouTube really serves the purpose of either entertainment or education or both. And so even if I had two jobs, all right, even if I had two jobs, forget about the fact that your pastor Tim has no jobs, all right? So forget about the fact that he's content to have no jobs. You're telling me that I need to get a job. And I'm like, okay, what kind of sense does that make? Okay, your pastor has no jobs. Okay, when his father gave him a job back in the day, he quit it. He promptly quit that job. And then when he had some individual contracts that he developed on his bush hogging or lawn work or what have you, he promptly quit that as well. He's like, no, I'm not one for the 9 to 5. Okay, I'm not even one for the 9 to 3 or the 9 to 2. I'm not one for working. All right. And so now your coach, somehow it's reasonable, somehow it's suitable for him not to have a job, but I need to get a job? Huh? Come on now. All right. His only job around IAG, other than playing around with some little projects here and there, his job is YouTube. His job is YouTube. Okay. Between him filming, between him scripting, between him rehearsing, and between him editing and posting, okay, that's a full-time job. All right. And so now how in the world, all right, if he has a full-time job as a YouTuber, okay, and not an actual job where he has to perform some type of labor. So now if if that type of job is suitable for him, then how in the world would it not be reasonable? How in the world would it not be, why would it not be sensible for me to spend just a few hours out of my day to critique and to react to his videos? Okay, so it's good for him, but it's not good for others. I'm like, okay, what kind of contradiction is that? Okay, it's good for the goose, but not good for others. Is that right? Do as he says, but don't do as he does. That makes not much of any sense. As in, it makes no sense. You guys be wilding. You guys be wilding in the comments. But as long as you guys are wilding, I'm going to keep on digressing. Welcome back to the end game. Welcome back. Where today I'm going to give my reaction to the recent P2P nodcast where Tim talks about the world hating your confidence. But I'm going to give my reaction to that video here. All right, early in the video, Tim talks about the fact that he and his family decided to take last week off. I'm like, okay, Tim, we know that you make all of the decisions around that farm. You make them individually. Okay, so I don't know about you and your family taking the week off. We do understand that you had to babysit the boys. We do understand that you were preoccupied with allowing Megan just a smidget of downtime as she recovers from her hernia surgery. But you talk about because you took the week off, you have so much welling up inside of you, so much. And I'm like, okay, well, on the surface, that sounds interesting. Because at first you're like, well, God is not going to speak to me for this whole week. And as such, I'm not going to post any of these nodcasts for a week because we're not going to receive any messages. I already told God, don't send me any messages for the week because I'm busy with my boys. I'm busy being a father. I'm busy with this parenting hood or this parenting thing. Okay. But you talk about having so much welled up inside of you and you say it's like fire shut off in your bones. Like, hold on. Maybe I heard that wrong. Let me rewind it. And of course I had to rewind it. And I'm like, okay, because we do understand that y'all's pastor is an ordained pastor. He's an ordained minister. We understand he's ordained. We understand that he studies his Bible at least a little bit, at least 5 to 10 minutes every now and then. But oh my goodness, did he just say it's like fire shut off in his bones? And I'm like, okay, biblically speaking, even coming from you, Pastor, you should know that the term is like fire shot up in your bones, like having fire in your bones. Okay, it's not shut off, Coach. Okay, if the fire was shut off in your bones, just like you shut off your ministry, your Walk by Faith ministry. Okay, if fire was shut off in your bones, that would be akin to you being dead, Coach. Okay. You like to bring up these dry bones. You like to bring up these dry bones from time to time, Coach. Okay, so now if the fire is shut off in your bones, you would cease to exist. Talk about dry bones, Coach. Is there something that you want to tell us, Coach? Was that a Freudian slip, Coach? Or was that just some type of deficiency, some type of weakness you have with the actual word, coach? Hmm? Or should I say pastor coach?
P2P motivation. Here we go. All right, y'all. It's been a whole week since I've seen y'all, and it's been a lot going on, and I have a lot to talk about. It's so much welling up inside of me, like fire shut off in my bones. Like fire shut off in my bones. Fire shut off in my bones.
Tim talks about how they like to do 5 videos in 5 days. Like, all right, coach. All right. Nothing special about doing 5 videos in 5 days, especially with these shortened nodcasts, especially with these very small, very brief nodcasts. It's really nothing to do 5 days, 5 videos in 5 days, but something that you're proud of, I guess, coach. You're proud of it. But you talk about the fact that you like to give your all. Or, I'm sorry, you said we like to give our all. And I'm like, okay, coach, there you are again, trying to include yourself in the we. Okay. We do know that the boys like to give their all. Okay. Even with them being young boys, we do know, for instance, that little Noah with his 5-year-old self, little Noah tries to give his all. Certainly, Titus tries to give his all, especially considering the fact that he's in constant competition with Timothy Jr. over that leadership position. Certainly, he's trying to give his all because he wants to try to recapture his place at the top as being the leader of the boys. Okay. And certainly, we know that Timothy Jr., he gives his all. He sacrificed his body. Okay. Some people say he sacrificed his kneecap on an occasion or two. But we know he's given his all. And we already know about Megan giving her all. Okay. Megan with her hernia afflicted body. Okay. Megan with her back that's been punished through the years as she's been worked by a mule by her husband. We do understand that everyone around you gives their all. Okay. But when you say we, you would imply that you're included in that group of folks that are giving their all, coach. Okay. But we know, of course, we know that it includes everyone but you, coach. All right. But you talk about, well, giving your all and then giving a little bit more. And like, here we go. Here we go with the math deficiencies yet again, coach. All right. If someone was giving their all, that would amount to 100%, coach. Okay. That means there is no more to give. All right, coach. We understand what you're getting at, coach. It's really just your articulation. Okay. It's just the way that you're presenting it, coach. That makes absolutely no sense at this point, coach.
And it's like y'all know that my family and I decided to take last week off from doing the Prison of Purpose Godcast. We put out 1 video last week, but you know, our typical schedule is to put out 5 videos in 5 days. Ha! We like to go hard. We like to give our all and then give a little bit more. And that's
Tim gives us a lesson. He gives us farmers, wannabe farmers. Okay. Those of us that have isolated ourselves from the rest of the world. Those of us that have locked the farm gates. He gives us a lesson in the NFL draft. Like, okay, coach. First, he indicates that the draft has gone on for a month. Like, okay, coach, it has not gone on for a month. Then he talks about the fact that it went on for weeks. And I'm like, okay, coach, the draft does not go on for weeks. Okay. People may talk about it. People may speculate about it. There may be commentary about it, film study going on pertaining to it for weeks, coach, but the draft doesn't go on for weeks. It actually goes on for days. All right, coach. But all right, but thanks for bringing us up to speed. Thanks for bringing us regular civilians up to speed. Those of us that have not shut ourselves off from the outer world. But he talks about the fact that sometimes when the draft is performed, he's talking about, well, quarterbacks are highly favored. Usually quarterbacks are a priority for those teams that need a quarterback. And he said, well, if you're really good at quarterback, you get drafted. If you're really good. And I'm like, okay, first of all, coach, you got to be better than really good. Okay. You got to be great / awesome in order to get drafted. He talks about, well, even if you have some issues in your background, I'm like, okay, coach, are we projecting a little bit here? He's talking about, well, even if you have some issues in your background, even if you've done some unseemly things, even if you have questionable character, like myself, okay, and I'm like, okay, we hear you projecting, coach, but he's like, even if you have some questionable character, you have some criminal activity, if you have a criminal mindset, if you're criminal minded, okay, even those folks can get drafted. I'm like, okay, coach, here we are. Is this not the story of my coach's life? Okay, we do understand that you connected with Megan through that pen pal system when you were in prison. We do understand. We do understand that you painted a certain image for Megan of you being a man of God, being a godly man, being a minister, or at least a minister in training. We do understand that from Megan's standpoint, you were good. Okay, you were pretty good. All right, you're smooth, pretty smooth. Okay, and you could portray yourself as being a man of God, and you portrayed it so well, coach, that Megan said, well, with the number one pick in my draft, forget about me being stout in my word, but forget about me being a missionary. Forget about me being a Christian, a strong Christian with strong beliefs and strong values. Forget about all that, okay? Because inmate Tim, he did such a good job. He did such a good job of portraying himself as being a good catch. I'm going to draft him with our number one pick. I'm going to draft Tim. Like, okay, coach. We get it, coach. We see the parallels. We see him, coach.
They draft the players from college that play good in college, and they really love quarterbacks. Like sometimes they'll take players that don't even have a good history, don't even have a good background, made some mistakes. But if you're good enough, they'll draft you, and sometimes they'll draft you number one overall. But I noticed that there was this young guy, and y'all know who I'm talking.
Tim goes on to talk about the Sanders kid that dropped. I think he dropped to like the 5th round, 144th pick or what have you. But Tim talks about the Sanders kid as if he knows him personally. I'm like, all right, coach, all right. I'm sure that they're not looking for any endorsements from IAG. All right. We already know that you was it Cole Equipment Supply and the bad boy equipment or bad boy mowers, bad boy tractors. We already know that you're a paid sponsor for them. But I'm certain that the Sanders boy is not looking for any of your endorsements. All right. But you talk about the fact that he was a good quarterback. He was good at throwing the ball. He was a quarterback, so he must have been good. I'm like, okay, there's thousands upon thousands of quarterbacks, coach. Okay, and just because they play the quarterback position does not mean that they are good at quarterbacking. Okay, and he's talking about, well, the kid doesn't get into any trouble. I'm like, how would you know, coach? How would you know? All right. He's talking about, well, the kid believes in God, and like, oh yeah, coach. Well, that's good to know from the outside. Well, it's good to believe that from the outside. Okay, you don't know how he's carrying himself. We don't know how he's carrying himself behind closed doors, how he's carrying himself when the cameras are not rolling. Okay, just like you, coach, just like you. All right, you put on a certain image when the cameras are rolling. We really don't know what goes on once you eventually turn the cameras off. We really don't know what's going on, coach. And so how are you going to pass certain judgment on this kid? In order for so many teams to pass on this particular player, there must have been some issues. And so I do want to remind you that oftentimes when you draft a player, whether it be a quarterback, running back, whatever position, oftentimes when you draft a quarterback and you draft him highly, oftentimes that player can go bust. That player can go bust. And generally speaking, that's what teams are trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid a player that looks a certain way, a player that portrays himself a certain way. But for one reason or another, they've seen some kinks in the armor. Okay, they've seen the kinks. And so they don't want to be strapped with this player that's possibly going to be a bust for them. For whatever reason, whether it be his skills, when you look a little bit closer at his skills, maybe they're not there. Maybe there's some issues with his personality, some issues with his personality. Maybe there's some issues with his dad that teams feel like, well, they don't want to deal with the hassle associated with his father and what comes along with that. And so there could be a lot of issues there, coach. And now this is something that certainly folks can relate to. Certainly you can relate to it, coach. Okay. Even though Megan drafted you with her number one overall pick, we do know that in your case, coach, you turned out to be a bust. Don't call him a bust. Don't call him a bust. He's a YouTube success. Really? Okay. Because he's a YouTube success, don't call him a bust. Okay. How is he as a husband? Is he a success as a husband? So. Or what about as a son? How is he as a son? Is he a success as a son? For Grandma Lily or even for his father, is he a success as a son? Forget about when he was incarcerated. Forget about when he was running the streets. Forget about when he was skipping school. Forget about when he was kicking in his mama's door. Was he a success as a son? Not so much. What about as a father? Is he a success as a father? Is he a good example for little Noah? What about for Titus? Is he a good example for Titus? Is he raising up Titus the best that he possibly can? Is he raising up Timothy Jr. to someday be a young man and someday be a man? Okay. Or is he rushing him through his childhood? Okay. To try to accelerate him into being a man now. Did he threaten to cut off the boys' education? Did he threaten to cut it off? He did? Oh, yeah. Okay. And so he has not been successful as a dad either. Really? Okay, so now if he's failed, if he's failed as a spouse, if he's failed as a son, if he's failed as a father, and we won't talk about the numerous business failures, okay, then overall he would be considered to be a bust. All right. And so Megan drafted my coach and y'all's pastor with her number one overall pick, and he turned out to be a bust. You can't make this stuff up. You can't. All you got to do is watch the videos. Just watch them.
Talking about Deion Sanders' son. I noticed that he was good enough. I noticed that he was more than good enough. I noticed that he didn't have a background. I noticed that he believed in God like he openly professes God. I noticed that he wasn't a troublemaker. I noticed that he could throw the ball. You know, he's a quarterback.
Tim shares with us the fact that he knows very little about football. Very little. And he knows absolutely nothing about the quarterback position. I guess we can recall that, considering that my coach spent his childhood running the streets, hanging out with gangs, that he had no athleticism. He took up no athletic endeavors during his childhood or during his early teen years. We know what he was doing during his latter teen years. But we understand that he has no athleticism in him. And I'm like, well, he tries to explain to us what a quarterback does. And well, he's got to be able to throw the ball. He's got to be able to hand off the ball. Okay, he's got to stay in the pocket and not be afraid and run from the pocket too early. You got to have some leadership skills. You got to be unfazed by a certain amount of pressure and what have you. And like, okay, coach, well, okay. We do get the point that you have been listening to some of the commentators out there, coach, but clearly you have no understanding whatsoever. But now it makes total sense. It makes total sense for us now, coach. Now we understand why you have doomed those boys to be farmhands for life. Okay. Eventually, ultimately, you upgrade and say, well, I'm going to let them develop trades. Okay. And they don't have to be farmhands. Okay. But we do understand why you overlook the fact that those boys may have some athletic interests, coach. They may have some God-given talents when it comes to athletics, coach. All right. But of course, you would never see that. We would never see that because you doused that long ago. Okay. When you when you doomed those boys, when you said, well, you guys can play with this secondhand equipment, the secondhand football and baseballs and bats. You guys can play with this stuff. Okay. But I'm never going to give you guys any up-to-date, any quality athletic equipment because I don't want you guys to get carried away. Okay. I don't want you guys to develop any type of athletic pursuit. Okay. I wasn't an athlete in my youth. Okay. And by golly, you guys aren't going to be athletes either. Okay, coach, but we get it. Now we get it, coach.
So he can throw the ball. He can hand the ball off to the running back. He's smart. They talk about he's a good decision maker. They talk about how he's tough. They talk about how he's a good leader. They talk about how he's not scared. He stays in the pocket. He doesn't run out of the pocket all of a sudden. Like all of these things they talked about.
Tim insinuates that the only issues that teams had with him for the prior 140 picks, okay, all right. He claims that the only issues that they had with him is that he was cocky and arrogant. Like, okay, clearly you have not been following athletics. You have not been following college football, Coach, because there were other issues with him. There were issues with his arm strength, with his own athleticism or lack of athleticism, his foot speed, and actually with him doing some things in the pocket that he should not be doing. Some things that would definitely not be successful at the next level, Coach. But of course, you missed all of that because you've been focused on YouTube and your own YouTube at that, Coach. But you talk about the fact that him being cocky and arrogant is those are supposed to be good qualities. Well, the problem is, Coach, it's okay to be confident. Okay, and being confident is not the same as being cocky. Okay, it's okay to be self-assured. Being self-assured is not the same as being arrogant. And now, if you're supposedly cocky, you have to have the skills to back that up. Okay, and from a quarterbacking position standpoint, we know that a quarterback is nothing without some good receivers around him, without a good offense around him. Okay, and so if you look around the league, you're going to find very few quarterbacks that are cocky. Okay, you'll find receivers that have a certain amount of arrogance, but very few quarterbacks that are cocky or arrogant, because they're heavily dependent upon those that are around them. And if you did by chance draft a cocky or arrogant quarterback, and for one reason or another, things were not going well for him, which often happens when you have these players that are drafted to these teams that are subpar, which is why they're drafting high. Things do not go well. It takes 2, 3, maybe 4 years for the ship to be fully righted and for that quarterback to experience a certain amount of success. If you have a cocky or arrogant quarterback, he may feel like it's not his fault, it's others' faults. And that may stir up problems in the locker room, Coach. Okay. And so now if you're going to be if you're going to be cocky or arrogant, you have to have the skills to back it up. Okay. You have to have the skills to back it up. In his case, he did not have the skills to back it up. All right, Coach. All right, Coach. So next time you decide to do just a little bit of homework about the draft and just a little bit of homework about scouting players' skills and capabilities, Coach, I'm going to encourage you to do even a little bit more, Coach. A little bit more homework, Coach. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe.
We're good. But the only thing negative they had to say about him is that he was cocky and arrogant, and they didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, he believed in who he was, or he believed in who he is, or believes in who he is. He believes that he's unstoppable. He believes that he can come to a team and change the dynamic of that team, not because he has some wishful thinking, but because he's done it multiple times before, and he knows who he is.
I thought at first that Coach was going to blame the fact that the Sanders kid did not get drafted. And I'm like, wait, no, he did get drafted. He just got drafted 144. But at first it seemed like he was going to blame that on the fact that the player is a Christian. And like, okay, blame it on and say, well, he's being persecuted because he's a Christian. That's why they didn't draft him highly. And I'm like, okay. But fortunately, Coach backed off on that a bit because I was getting nervous at first. But fortunately, he did back off on that a bit. But he said, well, you can do your best and you can be your best. And I'm like, wait, first of all, Coach, as it relates to you, because you talk about encouraging yourself, clearly, Coach, in your past, you have not done your best. Okay, Coach, remember, for you, it's 30% of the effort, 100% of the time. Okay, for the boys, it's 100% of the effort, 100% of the time. But for you, Coach, it's 30% of the effort, Coach. All the time, as in 100% of the time. And so you have not been doing your best. We're not going to go back to your past. We already talked about that. And you talk about you could be the best. And we're like, okay, coach. Now, first of all, not only is the Sanders kid not the best, he was not the best quarterback on the board. Okay, so he was not the best. And of course, coach, we do understand in your case, we do understand with your checkered past and how you carry yourself now and how you move now. We do understand, coach, okay, that you're not the best. But you talk about how it encourages you because you can do the best and be the best and still not get picked, coach. Like, all right, coach. All right, coach. And so I guess this explains why you've shut off the world, coach. I guess this explains why you've tried to shut off family members, coach. Okay. You have some type of complex about being picked, being picked last. But okay, coach, we do understand what you're saying. Certainly does not apply here, coach. But if you can use it as somehow as motivation for you to get higher than the 30%, coach. Okay. Certainly you're not at 100% and trying to scrape out a little bit more. Okay. But certainly, coach, if you're at 30% of the effort, 100% of the time, there's a lot of room for improvement, coach. So much room for you, coach.
God, who is not cocky but confident, and because of his confidence, they say, we're not gonna draft him. It's so crazy, and it really encouraged me and inspired me because I look at myself the same way. And you would think that it would be discouraging to have this situation where you can do your best. You can be the best. They have him rated as the top 1 or 2 picks, 1 or 2 quarterbacks. You can be the best, do the best, not get in trouble, do everything right, give 100%, and it still not be good enough. They still decide not to pick you.
Tim says that inspires him because he realizes that if you give everything you got, 100% of your effort, if there's someone above you, which God is, if there's someone in charge of your life, okay, which God is, okay, they can still choose not to promote you. Okay, and we're like, okay, coach. Now, you can pretend as though you can tell some folks, especially your woeful Tim worshipers. You can tell those guys that you're giving everything you got in or around that farm, in or around Grandma Lily's. You can show them or tell them supposedly that you're giving everything you got. Okay, but however, in this case, God knows all, God sees all, coach. Okay, all right, and although we reaction channels, okay, we only see what you put on the tape. Okay, and although in what we see on the tape, we see 30% of the effort, God sees the true percentage that you're putting out. Okay, God knows whether you're giving your all. Okay, all right, God knows that you're not giving your all, coach. And as such, God is not going to promote you as far as the blessings that come your way. Now, bear in mind, some of the blessings that are coming to your family, some of those blessings are intended for Megan. Some of those blessings are intended for the boys. Okay? So, and you just happen to be there, coach. So don't just assume that all the blessings that are coming towards your family are because of your work, because of your deeds, coach. Okay? Why should Megan be cursed? Just because she chose you with her number 1 pick. Why should she be cursed? Okay. Just because her number 1 pick went bust. Just because he was a bust. And he continues to be a bust. Doesn't mean that it should be held against Megan. She didn't know no better. She didn't know any better. I know. She didn't know any better. Okay, coach? All right. But all right, I can't take it anymore.
And that really inspired me, and it didn't discourage me because it lets me know that 100% is not good enough. It lets me know that I can be in a situation where I give everything that I have, and they still, if somebody else is above me, if somebody else is in control of my life, they can still decide to not pick me. They can still decide to not give me the things that are justly supposed to come my way.
I can't take any more. That's enough of that nodcast. That's enough. That's enough of my reaction to that nodcast where Tim talks about the world hating your confidence. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Burner Tim and the new heavies, because I know you've been recruiting new heavies. New heavies. I'll meet you guys in the comments as usual. Please do a little bit of research before you jump in the comments, but I'll meet you there. Chop it up in the comments. I do want to recognize those folks. I do want to recognize those that have shown me the love, those subscribers that have shown me the love. I do appreciate the love. For those viewers that have not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing so that we can continue to shine that light. Until next time.